Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. So there has been an NBA player that has been on my mind as of late. It's not so much just because he's been literally dominating the scene, but just really his come-up story as a great NBA player. In my opinion, somebody that should be representing the New Orleans Pelicans in the 2020 NBA All-Star Game. And that is Brandon Ingram. So as we all know, last night against the Utah Jazz, he dropped 49 points. I mean, literally, he was unstoppable. He was doing everything from the pull-ups, fadeaways, spot-up threes, like literally anything you need him to do in the offensive set, he was able to pull it off, and he was doing it with ease out there. And it's not even so much just like the skill you see from him physically on the basketball court. For one, he uses his length greatly to his advantage. I love players that are able to, they're gifted with certain aspects of their body, and there's guys that just don't know how to utilize it. Brandon Ingram is definitely not one of those players, but just the intelligence. There was just certain passes he was making out there where I was like, damn, that is one smart basketball player. So why exactly do I want to talk about Brandon Ingram? Well, as of late, man, we all respect just how good he really is. I mean, you want to talk most improved player, there's so many players that definitely could win that. That being Brandon Ingram being one of them, Devontae Graham, what he's doing over for the Charlotte Hornets. And as far as like from one season to the next, I would say that Devontae Graham, just what he's been able to do has been extremely, extremely impressive because he was literally like a no-name last season. So you got to pay homage to that. You got Bam Adebayo. He really has the mind heat, just playing amazing basketball. He's just really the prototypical center you want, / power forward, depending on where they play him at in certain sets. He's just been like a guy that's really changed the culture with Jimmy Butler, of course, of the Miami Heat, and somebody that we all kind of knew going into the season that Bam Adebayo was going to be a candidate for it. So, no surprises there with how he's been playing. You got Pascal Siakam, who's been able to really essentially take the Toronto Raptors. And a lot of us, including myself, I did not respect the Toronto Raptors going into the season. I thought a big part of what they did, which of course this is a big part, was everything Kawhi Leonard did for that team in the playoffs and essentially winning the NBA championship. I didn't think Pascal Siakam really had it in him to be that number one option, and I was proven wrong, man. Like, I'm so happy when players go out there and just prove everybody wrong. Now, if you're a Raptors fan, you probably knew it all along yourself, but it was just one of those things where I watched him play and I was like, yeah, he's a great player, but how much of that is attuned towards Kawhi Leonard and just kind of the pressures he takes off Pascal? So he's another guy that I essentially think could win it again this season, man, just because his improvement from last year up to this year, where he already won the most improved player, has been that substantial. And then, of course, you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the OKC Thunder, of course, part of the trade that sent Paul George over to the Los Angeles Clippers. Him, along with Chris Paul, Steven Adams, Danilo Gallinari, has really had people turning heads over at the OKC Thunder, a team that we thought was just going to trade everybody away, which very well could still happen, but I really like what they're doing over there. But that just brings up the point. We got so many players that could win the most improved player, but in my opinion now, I was thinking like Bam Adebayo, Devontae Graham for a long time, but Brandon Ingram has definitely just shifted my vote 1,000,000,000% towards his way. It's just crazy, man. I don't know if I talked about his stats already, but on the season, averaging 26 points, averaging 7 rebounds, averaging 4 assists, nearly a steal and a block per game, shooting 41% from 3. And the reason that I love this kid so much is just because I remember when he first entered the NBA. Like, even up until now, I'm sure people still make jokes about his weight and everything like that. But pretty much, a lot of people wrote him off early in his young NBA career. Like, he came to the league at the age of 19, man. And I just think that brings up another point of, like, are we too, as, like, basketball fans and the society in general, are we too pressuring of these young kids when they enter the league? I know me personally, for one, I think college is garbage. I think college is, like not going to college, like, go to college if you want to go to college. I'm talking about from the NCAA standpoint. I think it's a complete ripoff, and I really think that college basketball and football, they don't care so much about the athletes. They care more about their bottom line. But with that being said, man, I would love the idea of, just getting rid of that whole college thing and letting these young players go to the NBA early. And I'm not talking about maybe like playing right away, but maybe spending a mandatory season in the G League just to operate, because Brandon Ingram being a prime example, like at the age of 19, joining the Los Angeles Lakers, the spotlight that comes with that, the spotlight that comes into being part of a system and really an atmosphere that if you're not winning basketball games, then you got to go. And that is what happened to him. But now he's on the Pelicans, dominating, of course. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. That trade, as far as I'm concerned, was a win on both sides. I mean, Anthony Davis going to the Lakers, like, yeah, that's that's history, man. Like, they're good to go, right? They're definitely one of the favorites, if not the favorites, for the NBA championship. Although I'm sure Milwaukee Buck fans have or Clipper fans have something to say about that. But yes, I would just love the idea of these kids being able to go to the G League, spending a season over there, because we look at them like when they first come to the NBA, and we're so shocked when they're just not ready to go out there and just focus solely on basketball, because they got so much of this other mental hurdles to get through which comes with playing a grown man's game like the National Basketball Association, which I think the best example I can bring up of really just, spending those either 4 years developing in college and just really the mental aspect of it too, and just developing your brain and everything like that, because we learn a lot just about like adulthood going into college, or just spending a few seasons in the G League. Like I was saying, like Kyle Kuzma is a prime example. Kyle Kuzma went to college, I believe it was for all 4 seasons, did not actually enter the NBA till the age of 22. And when he was on the Lakers, I mean, people were shocked just how mature and how good he really was. Now, if Kyle Kuzma were to join the NBA at the age of 18 or 19, that definitely would not have been the case. And it almost could have been to the fact of the matter that if Kyle Kuzma, if he wasn't mentally strong enough to maybe take on some of the criticisms that a lot of really good rookies do going into the season, then they simply get written off as a bust and they move on to the next thing. So that was my biggest concern with Brandon Ingram, is that, just all of this extra noise over the past few seasons, talking about his weight, talking about his efficiency at times, talking about, did he really have what it takes to be the number 2 pick in the draft? Is he really a future all-star, superstar player, someone you can build a franchise around? All that was in question, and we were questioning a 20-year-old, man. Now look at him now, age 22. Guess what? Same age as Kyle Kuzma was when he came into the NBA. What is Ingram doing? Putting up an all-star stat line. Just really, like I was saying, making that trade with the Los Angeles Lakers not look totally one-sided. And I actually love trades like this, man. I love trades where we go into it thinking, oh my god, like, yes, obviously the Pelicans got like a ton of draft picks. I don't think up front anybody thought that trade was extremely bad. All things considered, we knew that eventually that Anthony Davis was going to be a part of the Los Angeles Lakers, so the fact that they were able to get this entire haul for him is pretty damn great. But it also has you thinking, like, would Ingram, if he would have stayed on the Lakers, would he have become the player that he is this season? I'm going to say probably not. I do think to some extent playing with LeBron James leads to a hindrance in stats. Now, that's not totally 100% true, because, I mean, Anthony Davis has been no issues playing with LeBron James whatsoever. But looking at players in the past like Kevin Love and Chris Bosh, players like that kind of became like third options. Their numbers definitely went down. Now, in the case of Chris Bosh, in the case of Kevin Love, those were guys that did put up amazing numbers on not so great teams. The Toronto Raptors were never really good with Chris Bosh. The Minnesota Timberwolves, were never good with Kevin Love. So as you thinking, I guess that's the worrisome thing here with Brandon Ingram, is that, okay, is this the case of he's just putting up really good numbers on a bad team, or is he somebody that you really actually can build around? I think that's going to be the next step for him here in the NBA. Of course, he has his teammate Lonzo Ball. I know, me personally, I've always been a bit of a Lonzo Ball fan. Thing about Lonzo that he doesn't really get a lot of credit for is everything else he does besides scoring. Everybody looks at his inefficiency at times, and really his scoring numbers, which of course scoring is the sexy side of the NBA. Like, everybody loves a good scorer out there. You could be bad at everything else, but you could drop 20 points a game. NBA fans will absolutely love you. Lonzo Ball is the complete opposite. But I will say, he's been pretty headstrong himself in improving his game and kind of ignoring the noise and working on his three-point shot. I love his form now. I think Lonzo Ball's form is absolutely phenomenal. So, do I think that Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball is like a long-term thing? I think so. I think, quite frankly, I love the idea of Ingram being that go-to scorer, being the guy that you run things through, but at the same time, Lonzo Ball can kind of do everything else out there. Almost like, I don't really like the comparison of like Rondo, but it's not like the worst comparison out there. I also thought like maybe like a Jason Kidd type of player, because Jason Kidd was somebody who's just like IQ, really helped out everybody around him, but wasn't always like the greatest offensive player. It wasn't until later in his career that Jason Kidd actually developed his three-point shot. Although Lonzo, I think, is already ahead of that. Like he's already working on it, and I think getting a bit better with it too. But then you come down to, okay, so you got Ingram now. You got Lonzo Ball, but now you also have to throw in the equation of Zion Williamson, who should be returning, I believe, next Wednesday. At the making of this video is currently January 17th, 2020. So at this upcoming Wednesday, Zion is going to be entered back in. And I think that's going to be another big hurdle for Brandon Ingram to get past. Like, is he still going to be able to put up those numbers? Is Zion going to want to, be viewed as this next LeBron James? Is he going to be doing a little bit too many things out there? But with that being said, is Brandon Ingram going to be headstrong enough to not defer to Zion at time and just kind of show the kid, like, hey, man, like, I did my time playing with LeBron James. You ain't LeBron James. You ain't that. Yeah, someday you can be that, but right now I'm putting up these crazy numbers, so you adjust to how I play the game of basketball. So, in the long-term of things, I think about Zion's style of play, which, of course, in the NBA, we haven't seen too much of it just because of, like, injuries and everything. I think we saw, like, a little bit in the Summer League. I think that's the only time we really got to see Zion play. And then, of course, Brandon Ingram, I think, is one of the best all-around players in the entire NBA, guys. Like, so, I think with that, it could probably work out. My biggest issue, of course, is, to me, Ingram needs to play the small forward spot. I didn't really like when he played shooting guard last year, or of course power forward. I think he plays quite a bit of power forward this season too. So either way is working out nicely. I don't even really consider like small forward, power forward a thing anymore, because you look at the Boston Celtics, like Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum. It's like, well, I guess Tatum technically plays the power forward spot, but it's just such a positionless league now. So I do think eventually the styles of Ingram and Zion can mesh very nicely together. But yeah, man, that's just, I don't know. I think the future for the Pelicans is good. I think with the draft picks too, and they even could make the playoffs this season. Like that 8th spot, there's so many teams that are fighting for it. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Pelicans didn't make it, just because really bringing Zion into the league on the later half of the season, it's like it's gonna take them time to adjust. Or maybe he just takes the league by storm, like we all kind of expect, and maybe he just helps with Brandon Ingram to lead the team to the playoffs. But I do know they're one of the funnest teams to watch. I can't wait to see the continued development of Brandon Ingram, who I can't believe is only 22, man. Like, literally, he's only 22 years of age. So this is going to be a very fun team to watch, I would say, for the next 6-7 years at least. Let me know in the comment section below, guys, because I have his stats pulled up right here, and there's a question being asked. It says, is Brandon Ingram better than Ben Simmons? Like, if you had to start a franchise right now with one player, and it was between Brandon Ingram and Ben Simmons, who would you choose? Let me know in the comment section below. But yeah, mainly wanted to make this video just to shine just a little light towards Brandon Ingram and how we should all really respect what he's been doing this NBA season and some of the noise he had to deal with early in his NBA career. I mean, he very well could have just choked up and just not really taken the challenge and could have just become an average NBA player. But every single season, guys, he improved on his game, and I love seeing it. So thank you all so much for watching. There's I don't really want to call it a rant. It's not really a rant about Brandon Ingram, but just an opportunity to talk about him, man. So hope you all enjoyed this type of video. If you do, drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and peace out, my friends.